Hello and welcome to You've Seen It Before, TV Reviews and Connections of Mine, and welcome back to another installment in my review and reaction series to each and every episode of Season 4 of Star Trek Discovery. If you've never seen one of my review and reaction episodes before, this is where I give my brief overview of the latest episode of whichever series I happen to be reviewing at the time, what I thought worked or didn't work, my likes and dislikes, as well as some analysis that's certain plot developments and character arcs that may seem familiar to you and where you may have seen them before. Just to get this out of the way, this will be a full spoiler review of this last episode of Season 4, so if you've not seen this latest episode yet, I highly recommend coming back when you have, because this will be full-on spoilers from here on out. So with that being said, without further ado, let's get into Star Trek Discovery Season 4, Episode 13, the finale, entitled Coming Home. And we pick up right where we left off in the last episode, where Tarka has commandeered Bookship, has fired off the plasma burst from Discovery, and is headed towards the DMA power source. All hell's broken loose on board Discovery. They're trying to stop Tarka, however the Species 10C is still holding them captive in their orb. They're trying to figure out, hey, can we tell the 10C that, hey, we're going to stop them, they're not involved with us, they're acting on their own. And they're like, well, no, how are we going to communicate that? There's the nuance of that's going to be kind of tricky given what we've gone through already. We'll get to that in a second. But, they basically figure out that there is a way to break through the 10C orb that's holding Discovery captive. However, it will involve basically channeling all the power from the spore drive into the orb to shatter it without actually going anywhere. However, in the process, it'll basically destroy the spore drive, and without space dock, they will be stuck without the spore drive to get home. So it'll take them decades to get home at that point. They're like, well, you know what, screw it. It's what we got to do at this point. So they channel they do that. They break out of the orb. They're headed towards Bookship in order to stop them. Meanwhile, on Bookship, Book and Commander Reno figure out a way to get out of the force field that they're stuck behind by Tarka, and they're in the middle. They stop them. However, the controls are locked out. The process has begun to neutralize the DMA power source. They got about 10 minutes left. Reno is able to beam back to Discovery. However, Book and Tarka are still stuck on Bookship. However, Book tells Reno, tell Burnham I love her, do whatever it takes to stop us. They figure out, alright, we can't beam them out because of the special shields on Bookship. We can't use a tractor beam. The solution to come up with is they basically use a shuttle to ram Bookship in order to disrupt the beam and hopefully get them to book out. General Ndoye, the new United Earth General, who was helping Book and Tarka before, she's basically like, no, I came forward like, no, I'm the one who was helping them this whole time. This is on me. I'm going to be the one to pilot the ship and try to get some pendants on this. She manages to ram the ship, got to beam back, pretty banged up but alive. Tarka has his what have I done moments. I can't go back, and he channels all the power that's left on Bookship as it's plummeting into the DMA to transport Book off of the ship towards Discovery. However, his signal gets lost, and you see that the transporter beam start to materialize on the Discovery bridge, but then it gets lost, and obviously Burnham is distraught. However, the 10C realizes that, we saw what you were going on. We're going to send another orb transport so we can continue negotiations. We're understanding something that's going on here. We're continuing to communicate here. And they're like, all right, let's do this. So they transport back to the home world of Species 10C. And they're in a room similar to the chapel or whatever the temple was in episode 11 that they found abandoned on the other planet that was outside the hypersphere. and they're face to face with Tennessee. You get President Rillick, Burnham. Saru is translating this during this whole thing. They're communicating. It's like, all right, you know that the DMA is hurting people, and we need to communicate. Because the species of Tennessee is basically not quite the Borg hive mind, but they're all one connected entity. Basically, they're like, no, we're all individuals, and there are billions, trillions of us, and your DMA is killing us. You gotta stop it. It's like, all right, cool. And somehow they also intercepted Book's transporter signal and kept it in stasis. So they actually, bring Book back, and Book's like, thanks for bringing me back and all, but even if you promise to, only use the DMA in unpopulated areas, your anomaly leaves, toxic waste dump where it is. No, you can't do that. You have to stop using it permanently. And they do. Great. And meanwhile, during all this, basically Federation headquarters is its own ship, and Admiral Vance has led the evacuation force to Earth. Leading this evacuation, he and Tilly stay behind on the damaged Federation headquarters ship as, the evacuation has run its course. They've done all they can, and they're at the last point to say, hey, we're going to keep providing cover fire of this debris so that everyone can get away. But then they're stranded on there. It's like, well, we got 2 hours left, and this is it. But then once the DMA shuts down, great, Earth is saved, woohoo! And then this episode ends with Tennessee using the DMA's wormhole to transport Discovery back to Earth. So they don't have to spend decades trying to get home without a spore drive, so great. And this episode basically ends with pretty much everything wrapping up as kind of a low-key note. Book basically, he gets leniency in his sentence because obviously he did break a whole ton of laws, but he's now kind of conscripted sort of into helping with the relocation efforts for all the displaced peoples. And Saru and President Tarina of Navarre are cultivating their relationship, and everyone else is like, they're going on shore leave, great, and United Earth is now officially part of the Federation again, and the episode just kind of ends. Like, kind of a low-key end to this episode, but hey, I think as far as finales goes, I think there are worse things to be than low-key, and yeah, I think this is actually a pretty decent finale. They wrap up everything satisfactory, although I think they wrap things up a bit rushed. And I mean that because when they're talking they're trying to figure out, like, all right, Tarka's doing this. How can we communicate to the Tennessee that they're acting alone, they weren't a part of us, and we need to stop them? And they're like, and Zora's like, that kind of nuance would be very difficult to communicate. It's like, okay, fine, and we understand that because, like we said in the last episode, it's like we're trying to use this bridge language because their native language is too hard to understand. And that was when they had about 4 hours left before the DMA really started hitting Earth and Navarre. Then there's about 2 hours left, and then all of a sudden, you have Saru basically translating these, really philosophical and complex speeches from both from Rillick, from Burnham, from Book, and it's like, really, like, I know universal translator stuff is fast, but no, I am absolutely not buying that. It's like I feel like that was a writer's thing. It's like, all right, let's wrap this up. I mean, who's going to question this? Like, well, I'm questioning it. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one on that one. So I think that from that standpoint, I'm like, you're wrapping things up a little bit too quickly there. But nevertheless, it did wrap everything up, and I think wrapped things up satisfactorily. I think they're leaving us on a note where it's like, you're not promising, huge adventures, and they kind of left me on a somewhat hopeful note that's like, there's so much more left to explore. It's like, maybe next season you don't have to have one overarching, giant catastrophe on your hands. Maybe we can make it more episodic and be like, hey, let's explore a little bit more on, maybe a couple episodes on one planet, a couple episodes on another planet, so on, so on. That's a perfectly valid thing to do that. I think that maybe they left the window open for that. But, yeah, overall, I'd say this was a pretty decent finale, if a bit rushed. Something I noticed, the thought of, trying to communicate, it's like, it was one man who did this against you, we're not the ones responsible. Made me think of Star Trek Voyager season 7. I believe it was Friendship 1. This episode where the one alien kills Lieutenant Carey, and the people are like, no. It's like, we're sorry about him, but there was one man who did that. Please help us save our planet. That sort of scenario kind of made me think of this episode as well. So there was that, and also I think there was it was a short beat, but I think there was a significant beat of Voyager's Endgame finale, where it's like, all right, we're going to, and also kind of Caretaker in a way, the whole Voyager arc, where it's like, all right, we can do this, we can break out of it, but we're basically going to be stranding ourselves decades away from home at this point, where it's like, they didn't know that there was going to be a wormhole to lead them home, so it's like, well, it's what we got to do, so let's do it. So there was kind of a beat on that front as well. So those are some things that I noticed that seemed familiar to me. But what did you think of this finale of Discovery Season 4? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What about my analysis? Do you agree, disagree? Did I miss anything? I probably missed something. Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to look for my overall review of Discovery Season 4 video coming soon. As well as my next movie review, which will be for Morbius, which comes out April 1st. And if you like this video or any other video on my channel, please give me a like, share, and especially subscribe. I'd very much appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for watching, but just remember, there is nothing new under the sun, and yes, you have seen it before.